The way in which a country's economy functions is extremely complex and comprises many aspects, especially in the present, where countries differ in size, development, natural and human resources, etc. Usually, economists explain simple macroeconomics with a well-known history, the case of Robinson Crusoe, a sailor who set sail on a sea voyage in August 1651, and after a tumultuous journey where his ship is wrecked in a storm, ends up completely on his own in an island in the middle of nowhere. In any economic analysis, the determination of work effort, production, and consumption depends on opportunities for production and on preferences about working and consuming. This basic interaction between opportunities and preferences shows up even in the simplest possible economy, which consists of isolated individuals. That is exactly the case of our famous sailor. Stranded on an island, the first thing that Robinson has to decide is whether he will use his time to produce food or for leisure. It is evident that the more a man labors, the less leisure he can enjoy. Increased labor therefore reduces the available supply of leisure and the utility that it affords. This trade-off is crucial in understanding macroeconomics. Robinson's case can be extrapolated to the total sum of individuals in an economy. One of the most relevant factors of production and growth is the availability of labor. In other words, the willingness of people to give up leisure in order to produce goods and services. A second key aspect in the modern economies is the formation and accumulation of capital. In order to illuminate clearly the nature of capital formation and the position of capital in production, let's continue with our example of Robinson's life. On landing, we assume that Crusoe finds himself without the aid of capital goods of any kind. All that is available is his own labor and the elements given him by nature. Without capital, he will be able to satisfy only a few wants, of which he will choose the most urgent, like eating. Let us say that the only goods available without the aid of capital are berries and leisure. Leisure is the one good that is produced almost instantaneously, while berries have a very short production period. 20 berries have a production period of 1 hour. Goods with longer periods of production are not available to him unless he acquires capital goods, as he needs to satisfy his hunger. To increase his productivity and be capable of consuming more or new goods, Robinson may think that if he had a long stick, he could shake many berries off the trees instead of picking them by hand. In that way, he might be able to step up his production to 50 berries an hour. But in order to craft the stick, he must expend labor in getting the materials, transporting them, shaping them into a stick, etc. Let us say that 10 hours would be necessary for this task. This means Crusoe must forego 10 hours production of consumers' goods and/or leisure. Let us assume that Robinson has made his decision and has crafted the stick after 5 days. Now, Robinson can use his increased productivity to increase his hours of leisure, as well as to increase his output of berries. Thus, he might decide to cut his daily labor from 10 hours to 8 or less. This process of capital formation required an investment of natural resources and time is in addition to forging present consumption. Moreover, we discover that to be able to invest, some kind of saving must be done. These same principles apply to complex economies. To be able to increase their productivity and produce more, time and resources must be invested in creating capital goods or technology that increase total output. The sum of decisions relating investment in new capital goods will determine the future possibilities of production of the economy. Nevertheless, in a globalized world like ours, not only locals may be able to invest, foreigners bring their capital too, so they can use cheaper labor or supply a new market. This leads us to another key part of macroeconomics: trade. International trade has occurred since the earliest civilizations began trading, but in recent years, international trade has become increasingly important. Trade is also an important factor in raising living standards, providing employment and enabling consumers to enjoy a greater variety of goods. By having an open economy, more resources are available for everyone. Without trade, countries would not totally benefit from the natural endowments of raw materials. Usually, countries will specialize in producing and exporting goods which use abundant local factor endowments. Other countries where those sources are scarce will import those goods. But openness to trade is not all of the story. One can be open to labor, increasing tremendously the availability of manpower that might not be enough, or to capital, giving opportunities to foreigners to use local resources in exchange of increased productivity. By now, we have introduced several core concepts and principles that define the way in which the economy of a country works and how growth by countries is achieved. We have four main factors of production: natural resources, labor, capital goods, and technology, which comprises institutional rules, skilled labor force, and methods or processes. By combining them, countries produce goods and services of different kinds. Some countries have abundant labor, like China or other emerging markets, but lack capital to produce high-value added products and can only exploit primary goods. By opening their economy, underdeveloped countries gain access to foreign capital and technology that increases the production of goods. Thus, with time, local population may save enough to invest in their own capital goods and develop communities. Developed countries have passed the long process of accumulating capital, but, paradoxically, are suffering the shortage of labor as fertility has fallen. Therefore, new trends in openness to immigrants have emerged in the last decades. European countries have adopted softer controls to their entrance, especially to unskilled workers. Rules and institutions have changed in order to prepare countries for a world where integration is a crucial aspect. Global labor, global capital, and maybe a global culture. However, in the last few years, when we look up international integration measures, we can clearly see that trade flows between countries have gone down. Their relations have worsened and barriers in general have gone up. There is currently a big discussion between those who look forward to a globalized world. In fact, rules and institutions in developed countries have followed this trend for decades. And those who believe that national identities, products, and way of life in general should be conserved. Sometimes the economic front can't explain everything. And that is what democracies all over the world appear to be showing. Populisms and nationalistic parties are now trending. We don't know clearly where we are heading, but it will surely be interesting to watch. If you want to discuss the video, please let us know what you think about it in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. See you next time.